All right. Hello and welcome to Creativity Conversations, episode 11. And this conversation is an absolute treat for me because I get to talk to creative people who live creative lives because they understand the nature of creativity, they embody it, and they share that understanding with others. So today we have the wild and crazy Saab Will. Saab, I'm going to read your bio here. Originally from Britain, Saab has been exploring the human creative experience in Paris for over 25 years. He writes words, makes pictures, and encourages creativity and connectedness in every day on a scale that would make most of us make our heads spin. So he spends half his time photographing, is that a word? Writing and painting and sharing his work, and the other half helping others to be as creative as they would love to be. His many talents are reflected in his multiple websites. And we'll go through those later because nobody will remember them at this point. Saab, welcome. I thought I only had one or two questions for you, but I actually have a number and I keep getting them. So rather than me starting off with a question, how about you just start anywhere and we'll turn this into a free form.
Okay. Can you hear me and see me?
Perfectly.
Great. Okay. I don't know how this works as a sort of guest on a Zoom thing because I haven't done it that way before. Hello, everyone, by the way. You just said something just now. You said photographying or something like that. And that's a good example of creativity, actually, just inventing a word. I like the word poetizing or poeticizing. And the thing with creativity is it's about bringing something into being that didn't exist in that form before. So I truly believe that we're all creative. I know other guests of yours have said this, but I agree. We're all creative fundamentally. So creativity as such, it isn't even a thing. It's just some sort of weird concept. For me, I mean, creativity, it's not a thing, but baking a cake is, and painting a picture is. So, it's kind of a word I grabbed hold of and I use it a lot, but it's not really a thing.
Could be kind of a fuel, don't you think? Or an energy, or it's something invisible that makes things visible.
I'm kind of wary of words, which is why I don't mind inventing them. If I feel that the word I want to use doesn't exist, then I'll put it into an article or into a poem for sure. I mean, I could get really deep and meaningful right away and say that I kind of think we are creativity. Creativity is us, creativity are us. Just the fact of being here. We were brought into being in this form by the ultimate creative act. So it's kind of a buzzword, but I don't think anyone has any more creativity than anyone else. You, me, everybody. It might even be the same creativity. We're all sort of dipping in, or drinking from the same creative well. So I make no claims whatsoever to be any more creative than anyone else because I think we're all connected anyway. So, if I create something, it's nothing until I've shown it to somebody else who will then, do something with it through their reality. So, but I do love creativity. I find it's a really nice way to look at things, to live my life as a kind of buzzword. And I think that helping people to be as creative as they would love to be is a great way to lead a nice life. I think that creating on a regular basis, literally something with your hands, something that you can hold up afterwards and say, look, I did this. It's really a great way to feel that you're living a worthwhile, fulfilling and generous life. So that's my thing. It's just a thing, but that's my thing and I like it.
Got it. So I think we first came across one another with Michael Neill's Creating the Impossible program.
Possibly.
And I think it's likely. So that was a few years ago. And, he's got a book by the same name, Creating the Impossible. So I thought I would ask you, what's impossible about creating? Or is there? Is it? Isn't there?
Well, in relation to Michael Neal calling his book Creating the Impossible, you'd have to ask him. I think we're creative all the time, and it's impossible not to be creative. Then you could say, yeah, but like being creative through painting, for example. Some people might think that's difficult. So there's two types of creativity. One is the one that surrounds us and we can't avoid. We're being creative all the time. We're creating our lives from second to second. The other is, more traditional. I wish I could write a book. I would love to write a book, but I just can't get started. Or, I started this painting 3 years ago and I still haven't finished. So yeah, can you go ask a little bit more about that?
Sure. What's occurring to me as you're talking is that the creating isn't the impossible. It's the thinking about the creating that can seem to make it seem impossible to create something. Can't do this because whatever it is, fill in the blank.
What I find in traditional creative activities, such as writing a book, painting, anything which you'd like, often it's in the form of a hobby. It's seen as a hobby, and people wish they could do that, but they never seem to get around to it. And sometimes they get to like 40 or 50 years old, and they sort of look back wistfully on what they used to do as a teenager, and suddenly think, why did I stop doing that? And I find with the people I work with, I find there's 2 or 3 things which are real obstacles to being creative in that way. And one of them is starting, and the second is finishing. It's so incredibly difficult sometimes to just start this thing that we claim we are really desperate to do. That's kind of weird. But if you can just start, like Knight, just do it in this, it's a cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason. If you can just do it, you almost immediately forget that you were resisting it terribly. You remember that you absolutely love doing it, and then you forget the time disappears. So it's a very, very strange phenomenon. You fight doing what you think you claim you want to do.
Why do you think that is?
Maybe it's fear of letting ourselves freely dive into the unknown. Maybe it's something like that. There's all these sort of things people are always saying, like fear of failure and such like, maybe. But I don't know, maybe there's something very, very scary about, I saw Sue waving that. There's something very sort of scary about letting yourself do something where you don't know what the outcome's going to be. I mean, I remember one of my first paintings many years ago. It was before I invented my infinity squared thing, which is now my sort of signature thing. And it was just a rectangular board with canvas on it. And I had this idea for a line, a wavy line. And the colors, it would be abstract. The colors would be very, almost violently opposed along the line. And then they would change color slowly, and as they reached the edge of the picture, they would actually be the same color. They would have come together. They would always sort of meet round the back, like fascists and radical socialists or something. And it was basically a line, and then I did a sort of adult coloring, and it took me about 3 hours to do the damn line. 3 hours to touch the virgin canvas. I was walking around it. I think I was even painting on an ironing board at that time. I just circled the ironing board like a wild animal, holding this pencil to make this stupid line, and I couldn't do it. I was so scared that the mark I made on this virgin canvas would be the wrong mark. How can you do wrong in abstract? But there it is. And as soon as I did it, oh, wow. So that's what the line looks like. And then I did my coloring, and the painting became weird. Maybe that's part of it, It's scary. We're diving into the unknown. It's almost like we're diving into our own soul. When it's art, there shouldn't be any boundaries to what we expose. So it's diving into our own soul, and we're about to expose ourselves to the world, and that's scary. Maybe it's that.
Could be. So one of my musings was since you brought it up somewhat indirectly, is do you think there's a connection between creativity and spirituality? However you want to define that word.
Apart from the fact that I don't like anything that, I don't like labels, including words. So I would see them almost as the same thing, just part of life. We're leading our lives. I don't like divisions. I don't like, saying, does that mean today I'm going to do creativity and tomorrow, or maybe this evening, I'm going to do some spirituality? For me, I don't see it like that. I would like to never have any divisions at all, including between work and play. Having said that, you might define work as earning money, but then even money is just a concept. So spirituality and creativity, they could be the same thing as far as I'm concerned, I think, Nina. When you lose yourself in playing with colors, for example, that's about as close to God as I ever need or feel that I get. You've lost yourself. You're living in the present moment. You've lost the concept of time. That's pretty close to becoming one with the universe, I guess.
I think it's really close.
Maybe it is. That's it. When you stop.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, when you stop thinking about past and future and you're in the moment, isn't that it? That is it. That's it. You've arrived.
And there's something that is moving through you and is being expressed through you. There's this movement of life coming through you that, to me, if we were using concepts, would seem very connected, almost one.
Well, I like people who we consider to be geniuses or masters of whatever, who insist that they are, it wasn't them, they were just a vector. I'm not a fan of sort of woo-woo stuff like channeling and so on, but to be honest, it's kind of that. If you're painting, where do those ideas come from? Why do you decide to put that color of brushstroke on that part of the canvas, or click the shutter at that moment, or write or start your poem with that line? Why? You can't honestly say that you decided, because I feel that you become aware of a decision having been taken, but you don't know when it was really taken or by whom. So channeling, yeah, I think we're vectors. I mean, if you create something, it came from everything that you've lived in your life, a book you've just read, someone you just talked to. I sometimes have people, they look at my photographs, I play around with them, and the objective for my photographs, as I say it, it's to create something which seems to be halfway between grim reality and a kind of fantasy dreamland. That's my objective. So I play around with my photographs. And sometimes people will look at a photograph and say, wow, how did you do that? And I actually wrote a piece, one of my daily pieces, I wrote it on this. And I said, and then I gave my entire life story from being born in Scotland, being shipped down, growing up in England, a year in Australia, moving to France, getting married, divorced in that order, and ups and downs, alcohol, heartbreaks, and at the end of this long sort of diatribe, and then I said, and then you click there, because their original question was, how did you do that photo? And in my little discourse, this fictitious person says, no, I meant, what app did you use? And it ain't about apps.
The app of life.
It ain't about apps. No, that's right. Which is why, even if you're a photographer and you think, I've taken a photograph of, billions of people have taken photographs of the Eiffel Tower, why bother? Yeah, but you haven't. And you are everything that has ever happened to you, and possibly other stuff as well. All the people you've met, all the ups and downs you've had. Your life has led to that second, undeniably, that you press the shutter in front of the Eiffel Tower, for example. So it's not just a sort of banal snapshot of the Eiffel Tower, or even it's more than that. I think people need to realize that. People who are a little nervous about exploring their own creativity, they need to realize that they are utterly unique. They don't have a choice but to be utterly unique.
You're reminding me of one of my favorite books. I don't know if you've ever read it. It's called If You Want to Write by Brenda Ueland,
Okay.
who was a kick-ass lady in the 1900s. She lived till she was in her mid 80s, and she taught writing. And her emphasis was all about the fact that we are all geniuses. We all have something unique to say. We're all brilliant, and that it's as important to use that side of our being to experience life as it is to do all the, rational, technical stuff. And that's something that I think is, to your point, that most of the time people think, I just have to do this, I just have to do that, I'll use this app, I'll add this, but it has there's no awareness of what you're speaking of. All of life at this moment converging in this snapshot, in this poem, in this whatever cookie, in this pie, whatever it is we're creating. But everything is brought to this moment.
Not everyone sees it that way.
Yeah. So
which,
how would you say it would help them if they did? How do you think that would help them if they did see that?
Well, I'm not sure if it's our job to, to get people to do things the way we'd like them to. I don't even think we should I know you didn't say this, but I don't think we need to get people to see things more in a different way, Yeah. But if they're looking, then we should be there, I think. Because the danger would be we'd fall into the trap of, proselytizing. I've seen the light. Join me, friends, and I'll show you a better way to live your life. I think that's rather, presumptuous. But a lot of people are looking. A lot of people aren't as happy as they thought they would be. Yeah. And especially when they've got the usual materialistic trappings. Hey, hang on a second. I thought this was, I didn't know what I thought, but I thought it would be better than this. So a lot of the people I help or I'm in contact with, they're people who have reached a sort of maybe a tipping point. No, there was an epiphany of this is a bit crap actually, and life's going on, and I'd like to do something else actually. Please can I? But by that time they're often they've got the trappings. They've got the family that they thought they wanted, which is nice, but that seems to be pretty difficult to change. And they've got the mortgage to pay, all those payments every month, and all sorts of reasons, valid reasons, why it's too difficult to change. But they actually would like to be told that that's not true. So that's one of the things that, people who are they're the ones who I like working with.
So what would be one of the first few things that you would point out to them?
To who?
To those who are asking you for some assistance in going beyond the materialistic trappings and expressing those unexpressed feelings and desires and emotions.
They've already got an idea, and they may well be well down the path of, moving away from materialism towards more deeper stuff. Don't have to call it spirituality or anything, just deeper stuff, stuff that is less related to finding happiness through material possessions. And then it's meeting them where they are. It's I can offer when I'm building retreats in Paris is my next thing for next year. I'm in the process of building masterclasses, which is online. And so I say quite clearly what they're about. So hopefully people will come wanting that sort of thing. But fundamentally, it's about meeting people where they are, seeing what's up with them, and seeing why they wanted to talk. And it's normally for those reasons. It's normally because they aren't as happy as they thought they would be, and they would like to be accompanied. There's no. I'm not a fan of. They say that it's good to coach people who you're a little bit ahead of, not too far, because you're too much of a, towards sort of guru status, but not behind them. They want someone they would like to be where you are, but not too far ahead. So there's not too much of you know, a gap in terms of, you know what I mean. So yeah. So I try to put myself out there as much as possible, hoping to attract people who like, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say there's no idea of hierarchy. Like, I'm there. Wouldn't it be great for you to get where I am? I hate this, especially this sort of marketing. The worst has to be those ads where there's the guy with the C behind leaning on his, you know, Lamborghini with a hot chick next to him. You just think, come on, please, please. He walks, you know, casually to the glass windows of his corner apartment looking over Manhattan or whatever. And that doesn't work for me. But I think you still need to show that you need to be some sort of model. Otherwise, why would people want to work with you?
Right.
But so how are they going to know? Yeah, how would they know that they want to work with you unless you put yourself out there? Right. So I put myself out there through creating a lot of stuff with no pretensions whatsoever, you know.
And would it be accurate to say you're showing them, hey, look, this is what I play with? What are you playing with? What do you want to play with? How does it look to you?
Yeah. I think what is nice is when you don't believe something's possible and then you see someone who seems to be doing that. I know I've been inspired by people who seem to be living a better life than I am. Yeah, maybe giving examples without any sort of pretension, you know.
Can you give a specific example of what you mean?
Well, I seem to have found the ability to create something new every day. And it's very humble. It's what anyone could do. It's a picture of Paris, which is I'm not even living in Paris, I'm outside, but it's the town that I say I've adopted, or that adopted me. I'm not really quite sure. And I said that the Eiffel Tower is Lady Eiffel. I call her, it sounds a bit corny, I call her my muse, my artistic muse. But basically all I do is I go outside and take a picture, play with it and publish it with some words on top. But I do that every day. And that's quite inspiring, I think. You know, it's not everyone that creates something every day. And then people will say, yeah, but you're living on your own. You've probably got more time than I have. Maybe you've got some money stacked away so you don't have to work. I've got the house, I've got the job, the stressful job, you know. But I live very humbly, very humbly. I mean, I live perfectly happily going into Paris with my rail ticket, taking photographs, coming home, playing with the photographs, writing a text inspired by the photographs and publishing. I'm happy. I'm actually happy. So I don't have any big fancy car. I don't want one. So that's I think this big adventure of life, there seems to be about 3 phases. The first is you live it as an innocent person, you know, without any ideas of what's going on. And then people put all these rules on you. They say, you know, if you want to be a successful person in our society, you have to do this. You have to get this qualification, wear this sort of suit, say these sort of words and such like. So they think, oh, okay. And then this is phase 2. Then they try to do that. And then phase 3 is when they realize that was either wrong or not what they want to be doing. And they try to break free. And often it comes full circle. They come back to realizing that the money they thought would make them happy doesn't, and they want to go back to the simple life.
Yeah.
And anyway, you don't go out with your money, do you? You don't go out with anything. You go out as naked as you came in. So I think a really great thing to do in life is to try to realize that. Yeah. It's quite a common thing, isn't it, in sort of development paths. You try to understand what has been put onto you, and then you try to scrape it off and come back to the real beautiful you that's inside.
Yeah.
To finish your days. It would be nice to finish your days being actually quite happy with your life.
Well, that's what I was going to say, since you brought it up, is on your deathbed, what would you like to look back and, I know, what would you like to look back and say about your life?
Maybe the best would be to say I'm quite happy right now. You know, I'm literally happy to be here, about to say bye-bye. You know, I did this funny thing. as part of my daily things, one of them, these texts, I just wait for stuff to come. Oh, hang on, I've got to plug my computer in, otherwise it's going to die. There we go. Yeah.
Speaking of dying, that's rather.
There you go. Yeah, yeah. I for fun, I planned my death as one of my daily texts, and I thought, wouldn't it be great to have a creative death? You can think of death however you like. It seems inevitable that we seem to have been born coming from not quite sure what, and it seems that the opposite happens as well. We disappear into something else or whatever. So I thought, if I truly am a creative type, then why don't I imagine a really creative going out ceremony? And I've been through these self-development courses where they do that exercise, imagine your funeral, and it's a bit uneasy. You imagine these friends saying what they thought of you and that. I thought, for me, creativity, it's not a thing that I do and aren't I great. It's part of a process. It's a cycle. Actually, I've got this thing that I like playing with. I call it the creativity cycle. And I made it up. There's no starting or finishing. You can start anywhere. Create, share, learn, or learn, create, share. So my idea is that when you create something, that's fine. But it's an urge to get something out of you that's inside you. Why would you want to do that? It's because you want to touch someone else in some way. And you touch them through them seeing what you've created. It's an easier way to touch people sometimes than going up to a stranger and saying hello. So you create something, but for me, that's half the process. And the second half is, once it's out there, a second person coming into contact with it, for example, a painting. So that's the sharing. And what happens when you share something that you've created is that you normally get a feedback. It's normally wonderful. Most people are nice and genuine. Most people appreciate people who have created something artistic, and they will give you some feedback, and then you can learn from their feedback. But they will also be inspired, probably, to do something themselves. If they don't see you as too far away from them, and you encourage them, well, I did that. What are you going to do? And then they will create something, and I will see it. So they're creating, then they're sharing it back to me, and I learn from what they've done. So I love this idea of this simple cycle that goes on and on. Create, share, learn, create, share, learn forever. And it works in lots of different directions. Your question was about the death thing. So yeah, I don't know if I want to look back on it. I just want to be happy with where I am. Whenever I'm conscious, I'm able to be conscious, I'd like to say, I'm quite happy here. So I imagined this weird thing where my ashes are placed into 9 packets, 9 differently colored square envelopes, and they would be assigned to 9 people. Yeah, because squares are my thing, and my artistic thing, 3 times 3 squares. So I thought 9 square envelopes, and of the different colors of the rainbow, and each one would be assigned to someone who would take it and scatter these ashes in 9 different places. I mean, 1 place per person, which is important to them. So, for example, if I know a Scot where I was born, I could have a Scot taking that envelope and scattering that part of my ashes from the Arthur's Seat near Edinburgh, where my parents had their first kiss. Another person a Paris friend would take it and scatter it from a bridge on the upside, the mountainside of the Seine, just on the bridge, the furthest bridge, which is still in Paris. And my ashes would then float through Paris as a kind of, kind of getting chills as I say it, as a kind of Paris saying bye-bye to me, after I've kind of sold my soul to her. And so on, yeah.
Nice play on words there. Sane and sane, river.
Yeah, you can always say insane as well.
That's true. So what we usually do on this call is we're about a half an hour in, so I'm just going to open it up to questions or comments that people have, and if they don't, we'll just carry on. I'm sure we'll have plenty to keep riffing on.
Can I show you this?
You may.
This is a poem that I wrote about 23 years ago. I've been in Paris for a while.
Lift
I
it
will.
up just a smidge.
I will.
Okay.
I will. And it's called My Reality.
Got
And
it.
I wrote it looking across towards Paris from the outskirts. I was living on a barge at that time, and there was a kind of raised area. And I called it My Reality. And the last line in this poem was the line that became the name of my website. And it's a really good line. So the poem is this. This is my Paris, my reality. No one sees what I see. It belongs to me. This is my sky. These are my clouds, my reality. I belong to no one. Paris set me free. And the last line became the name of my website. Back in the 90s, at the beginning of websites, and it seemed to stick with me. This simple little poem seems to be good enough now for me to. I'm quite happy with it, you know. I had a question recently about, you know, should we regret? Are you embarrassed about what you created 20 years ago? And I thought, well, we shouldn't be. We shouldn't be. Because that was another us. Would we like us in 20 years' time to be embarrassed by what we're creating today? I don't think so. I think we should just be glad that we are creating. Sorry, that's me, blah, blah, blah.
No, I think that's wonderful. It reminds me, one of my favorite classes that I took when I was in college was in a summer program where we had a number of master classes by different artists who would come in and present their work, and they would do it chronologically. So they would start out, and they would either start from the beginning or work forward, or start where they were and then go back to where they started from. And it was the most wonderful thing for somebody who was, you know, 18, 19, 20 years old, who's got that insecurity about what am I going to do? How am I going to express it? What it's going to look like, for these very accomplished artists to present something that, you know, looked like a 14-year-old did it or a 12-year-old did it with no embarrassment whatsoever. It was, this is what I could see at this time. This is what I can see now. And who knows what I'll see in the future. But it was a beautiful testament to non-judgment and just being present to what was available in the moment.
Yeah, and it's not that easy to do. And I would add, what would be the problem with showing what they did as a 14-year-old or even a 7-year-old with no excuses? You know, that's the thing. We don't have to make excuses for, because as soon as we're making excuses or saying, you know, well, you can see this, I wasn't very good at that point. As soon as you do that, you're losing your authenticity, and you're worried about people's reactions. I think just creating is a wonderful thing. Whenever you create anything, it's a marvelous thing. And that's what I try to say to people. For me, I've eliminated words like success, failure, perfect, imperfect, comparison from my vocabulary, or the vocabulary that I happily accept from people. So, you know, I say if you want to use the word failure, you can, but I'll tell you my definition of it, and that's not having a go. And success, my definition is having a go. That's my definition of success. You try it.
Yeah.
It's not even tried. You did, you know.
Do you ever have downtime? Do you ever find it valuable to just noodle around and let things percolate? Or do you find that you're in front of something and you have an immediate response to re-express it or digest it or see it fresh or see it through how you interpreted it through the whole experience of your life in this moment right now?
On the face of it, I don't seem to have much downtime. My mind seems to be forever having new ideas. Having said that, I think I integrate moments where where do they come from? They have to come from somewhere. There has to be space for them to come. So, you know, if I go for a walk in the woods, then that'll help the ideas. I guess when I sleep, you know, when I'm making food in the kitchen, I have aha moments when the toaster pops up. So on the face of it, I don't seem to have any downtime. I seem to be constantly in this kind of crazy creative, you know, it seems pretty, but you know, I spend half of my time chatting to people about their creativity. That's a beautiful reflective moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very strange. Yeah, I think, yeah, when I'm walking to the train station or I miss a train, that's half an hour for, you got to be happy when you miss a train. Not happy that you missed it, but it needs to be irrelevant to you. Because if you ever say to yourself, I missed the train, therefore I've lost half an hour of my life waiting for the next one, that's a terribly sad way to live your life.
So you were saying in your bio, you were talking about creativity. Let's see if I can find it. Creativity and connection.
Mm.
You're encouraging creativity and connectedness. Can you say something about that?
Well, a bit like my thing with create, share, learn. Creating is a nice way of connecting with people and appreciating their creativity as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're made to connect. I think we're social animals. We couldn't exist on our own. So I think fundamentally we're made to connect. And these days, art is a nice way to do that. Again, they're two words. Maybe they're the same thing, because when I create, it's with the aim of connecting with people in maybe a non-verbal way, yeah, which is often more powerful than words. Can be a disaster, actually. Did anyone have any questions? Because I don't want to talk all the time.
I'm not seeing any yet, but sometimes people are.
They're just so.
They're glued to their screens.
Wow, this is just.
I can ask a question. Can I ask a question?
You may.
Well, actually, I don't have a question. I more have just an appreciation for what you're saying and your experience, Sab, that it's like you live life as art. Life is art and how you live it. And it is so much in the present moment that any experience is worthy of being interpreted in a variety of ways. And what I love about what you're saying is the freedom that it offers you, and that there's no judgment, there's no goal that has to be achieved. There's nothing really outside of the kind of the self, of the person, of the soul that is seeking expression and connection and a sense of, how do I make something out of nothing? Because pretty much that's what we do every day. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for sharing your perspective and your art. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. What are we trying to do every day? What is our aim? That's a really nice question. What ultimately do we want? And it sounds pretty simple to say, to be happy. And yet, well, that sounds okay, doesn't it? To be happy. What do we want in our lives? To be happy. And but then the second question is, so how do I be happy? And it's about finding a way that we are happy for each of us. And I found this approach. For someone else, it'll be something else. For some people, it might be having lots of money. Who are we to say? But yeah, art seems to be a wonderful way. It doesn't have to be, don't equate art with art galleries, for example. Literally, just having a bit of fun, doing some coloring with your kids. That will lift the soul. And then it's up to us to decide, to what extent we're going to integrate that into our lives and if that makes us happy, really. And yeah. So thank you for saying that you resonate with that. I've got this. I want to show you something based on what you said. Give me 2 seconds, and maybe Nina, you can fill it.
Okay. Well, I'll just fill it with something that I have shared before, but it's a favorite quote of mine. By this woman, Brenda Ueland, who talks about, she tells a story about Van Gogh writing to his brother, and in a cheap garret, he's going to seminary school, he has no money, and he's describing a scene outside his window, and he's got his cheap writing paper and his pencil, and all of a sudden he stops and he actually does a drawing on the paper, with his cheap very crude drawing. And he says, it's so beautiful, I must show you how it looks. So he's speaking to that same urge to create and share, that it just, he can't help it. It just has to come out. And he gets to be the one who delivers it.
Who was this?
Van Gogh,
Ah.
writing to his brother Theo.
And there's that story about Picasso sketching in a restaurant. You know that one? On a paper napkin. He was sketching on it, and he did a little sketch. And the waitress, I don't know how much I'm butchering this, but let's say the waitress came over and said, "Oh, I really like that, Mr. Picasso. Do you think I could keep it? I would even give you, like a few dollars for it." And he said something like, "Sure, but it's $20,000 or something like that." And she said, "What, are you crazy?" Well, she didn't say this. It took you like 3 minutes to do. And he said, "Yeah, but it took me 50 years to be able to do it." And then someone else in a group I'm in, and I'm in her group, she put up a thing one day. She said, "Look what I did today." And it was literally about 16 pages of A4 with a ballpoint pen scribble on. Hello. But that represents a moment of her life, just as much as any other moment of her life. She spent, those lines represented moments of her life, even if she was just going like this. So anything is beautiful. Any evidence of human beings being human, that's beautiful enough, isn't it? I was going to show you this. I was convinced it said art is life on it, which is why, or life is art, but it doesn't. But it says art is truth.
Ah.
I don't know why it says that. I think it's just a marketing gimmick, but it's actually quite cool. Someone gave it to me. Art is truth, or truth is art.
At least it's our truth, right?
Yeah, but art's just another word, isn't it? Art. What's art?
Yep. All concepts. We've got a couple other questions. Let's go to Sue, and then we'll go to Martin. Hi, Sue. I think
I got it. Hi. I'm really happy to be here. And is it Sab or Sab? I want to say it right.
Sab.
Sab.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's so nice to meet you this way and to connect with you. I'm really, really grateful that we've connected a little bit, and I've just loved this. I have absolutely no question.
I have absolutely no answer, so
that's great. Yeah. I'm coming up. I'm working really hard on something I've never done before, and it's about making an e-course about flow and fluidity and creativity and fun and freedom. And I've recently seen how I've worked really hard and launched wonderful things before, really good things before, and then when they didn't go the way I made up they should go right away, or whatever, in whatever time frame I made up, I would just stop offering it. I would just hide it in a box and put it on the shelf. And it's like, oh, here I am working really hard on something I'm all fired up about again, and I don't want to do that anymore. So I'm not gonna. I'm gonna leave the box empty for now and see what happens if I let myself. You said something about the obstacles. What did you say? Oh, the 2 obstacles, to start and to finish. Yeah,
those are often big obstacles. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have finished before the finish is what I'm seeing so fucking often, and I'm just grateful. And if you have anything to say about that, that would be lovely. And you don't need to. And I'll be leaving in a few minutes to get ready for a client call. But thank you.
So that's your non-question.
Yeah.
So my non-answer would be there's I have I don't know what I've got. You might call it a divergent brain. I think Nina's a little bit like this as well. Lots and lots of ideas, and often that leads to big fat nothing at all, and it's irritating.
Hey.
It's really exciting to have the ideas, and it's exciting sometimes to start developing them maybe on paper, But actually starting the actual thing, that's a bit of a drag. And anyway, you've had a new idea by that time. You know, like shiny object syndrome or whatever. It's like these courses that we all do. I just need one more. Oh my God, I've just started this new course. That's going to be the one. Then I'll be ready. And that's all very well, but you know, in the end, it gets kind of frustrating. You really would actually like to finish something that you're proud of. So my example from this year is I'd dreamt and started courses and stuff for ages. Always doing these online courses and, you know, going on forever and ever and ever. It's like I was going to do them until the day I died, and then who would I have helped? So I literally forced myself to commit to doing an online course on a specific, quite concrete topic that I was quite familiar with, photography. And I'm not sure if I said this already today, but as soon as you start doing it, you forget that you had this resistance, because you actually do love it. You know, I do love photography. I just thought I was more than a photography course. But the thing is, you've got to touch people somehow, and people need to grab hold of you. You know, they need to know, oh, that's, if you just say, you know, I heal the world, make it a better place. That's beautiful, man. But how can people buy that? You know, literally. So I decided to force myself to do something which I was able to do, a photography course. It still was a hell of a lot of work, but I actually did it. And I tell you another way that made me finish. I sold it before it existed.
Oh, you did that. Wow.
Yeah,
That's been held out there as a possibility, and I haven't gone there yet.
That's heavy. That's heavy stuff, because your reputation's on the line there. Maybe your life, you know. You've sold it to people. The thing has started, and the video they're supposed to be watching in 2 days' time doesn't actually exist.
Yeah.
But that's a really, really good way to get yourself to do it. I've often worked like that, you know, for exams and everything. I don't know about you. I don't know what your approach is, what you need, what you're looking for, what your driver is for creating courses. But I guess it's kind of frustrating. You must have a real desire in you, and it must be kind of frustrating not to have actually just finished the damn thing. I'm sure you feel capable. I'm sure you think it'll be a great course. So why not just say, you know, damn it, you know, how selfish I'm being for not creating my course that I know is going to help quite a lot of people. That can, looking at it that way can help as well. You know?
Oh, it's not finishing the creation. I'm not done yet, but I think I will finish. It's the talking about it, it's the offering it, it's the marketing it, it's the continuing to talk about it. If it doesn't sell as quickly as I've made up in my head that it should, because it means I have blah, 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 blah again.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that I am like those things in the car wash. I'm just keeping moving forward and moving those things out of my fucking way.
I don't know if Nina has any comments on that, but I would just start, just do a little bit, you know, like in the morning, like from 11 to 12 or 10 to 12 or whatever slot you have, if possible, in the morning. Just do it, you know, just do it. It's the thing you do after breakfast and before lunch. So it's not like you're killing your day. You know you want to do it. So just try doing it. You know, put an alarm and ask someone to be your accountability partner. The steps are okay. You know, you can do courses on what the steps are.
Oh yeah.
So it's not that.
Oh,
it's something else.
Thank you.
So I mean, tell someone like me or Nina that you're going to do it tomorrow, you know, or Monday. You're going to start the outline for Unit 1 or whatever, or you know, whatever.
Yeah.
It feels great when you do it.
Tools,
It just feels.
Those are tools I use, and they really help, because I'm in a small, you know, I'm alone and I work alone, but I have a community, and that really is powerfully helpful, because on my own I just not get very far.
There are times when we need each other, right? So if they say be careful what you ask for, you'll probably get it.
Good. I'm asking. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're on.
Well, Sue, you need, if you want to follow that through, you need to decide what would be useful next steps, and then actually, you know, commit to them with someone else.
Yeah.
No, it's so fun. You know, do it. Because if you don't do it, nothing will happen.
Right. Thank you.
Thanks, Sue. Okay, Martin, you are up. Oops, are we?
Hello, everybody.
There we go.
Hi.
Stu, I'll volunteer to be your accountability partner on this if you need someone to check in with.
How
And
about
feel
that?
free to reach out to me.
Great.
Um,
Thank you.
So Nina, Seb, thank you guys so much. And something that I found interesting was that you changed the definition of success, and that's something that I've really explored lately. And I feel like society has a definition of success that a lot of people are kind of working towards, where you have to have a lot of money, you have to have a new car, and the gorgeous spouse or whatever it is. And a lot of people start going through the motions of life to get to that point, and they end up working towards that and aren't ever really happy with what they get. And so when I kind of stepped away from that and realized that my definition was not that at all, that really unlocked a lot of things for me. And it took me a long time to get to that point. And so I love that you were saying how you kind of removed that from your vocabulary.
I don't think it's help. I don't think other people's definitions of success are very helpful.
No.
But it can take us a while to realize that.
Yeah. And basically my whole approach to coaching was helping people to come up with their own definition of success. And it seems like nobody's really considered that.
Considered what their definition of success is, or considered helping them to find their own definition?
Either thing. People haven't really gone into the definition. And a few weeks ago, we were on this call. We were talking about getting rid of the concepts, and I feel like that's just a big one that people. It's just a big misconception in the world right now that people are not very clear on what success looks like to them.
Yeah, I think what happens, for example, in the midlife crisis type of scenario, is that they're confused because they're not as happy as they thought they would be, and they don't know why. And they were chasing somebody else's definition of success. And they need to realize that first before they can change it. You know, I think your approach of helping them to question what success is for them, and then maybe modify it and make it their definition of success, is great. Not everyone's ready for it, but if they come to you, then they probably are. Is that what people are like when they come to you?
Yeah, a little bit. I've noticed that a lot of people are, they're working, they're in their jobs, they're trying to get their whatever they're trying to do, and there's just no fulfillment, no purpose. And I've realized over the last few months that the phrase like going through the motions, I think, is one of like the worst ways to live your life. Nobody's happy about that. It's like, I'm going through the motions, or same old, like whatever. And I'm just like, why are you living like that? Pretty much.
So when people come to you, are they looking to set goals for something? Do you help them with goal setting, or do you tell them to forget goals?
No, I help them with goal setting.
What sort of goals?
It really depends on what they're looking for, but I've helped people with, like, they were kind of afraid to get themselves out there and weren't comfortable doing videos on Facebook, or they were struggling with relationships or something like that. So those were some of the kind of things. And I've noticed a lot of people coming with confidence issues. So either afraid of, fear of failures, fear of rejections, those kind of things, and helping them to overcome those are really what I've been helping people with.
I think traditional coaching has often been about goal setting and then reaching those goals. And those goals, I think traditionally were often quite materialistic ones, often attached to money or, some sort of material possession. It used to be it was quite rare that they would actually be, or a promotion, that it wasn't that, something like that. The problem with goals that I found was that often you don't actually reach them, and which doesn't leave you feeling very good. And if you do reach them, it's very short-lived. For the very fact that if they were too materialistic, okay, so I'm at a new position in the same damn company, or whatever, the equivalent. Okay, so I've got $100,000 in my bank account instead of 80,000. Well, you know, it's still basing your happiness on the same thing, isn't it? So I've kind of gone off goals. I like goals if they encourage you to do things that you feel make your life fun from day to day. Because, you know, we kind of need, it's helpful if we have chosen a purpose for getting up in the morning. I don't believe too much in there being our purpose, which is out there somewhere, and we if only we find it, then I'll be happy. That's the same sort of futile sort of goal chasing. But I do think that choosing a purpose, if you can find one that you like, that's cool. It's not the only one. It's not that it's yours, but I've decided as a game that my purpose is going to be creating stuff and helping others to create. But it's not really my purpose. It's just something I like doing. And as my time here seems to be limited, I thought, actually, you know, for me to feel that I'm living a good life, having a so-called purpose actually seems to help me do that. So goals are okay, I think, because they can give you a reason for doing great things each day. But each day is the present. So one of my overall goal that I try to get people to have is to feel happy with where they are right now, which kind of means forget goals. But goals drive us forward. Goals are quite fun as well, but we mustn't live for the goal, thinking if only I reach the goal, then I'll be happy. That doesn't work. But if goals make us do really fun things every day, forgetting the goal, we'll reach the goal, but we're not thinking about the goal. It's kind of in the background. So for example, I mean, on the 1st of January 2018, I started a new project, doing a photograph of Paris every day, publishing it with a text. And that was fun every day. I really love it. Every single day I get a kick when I publish that photograph and that text. But I'm not really thinking about the big goal. I've got it. It's 18 years worth of photographs and texts. It's ridiculous. But I'm approaching number 1,000 now, and I don't know how I did that. I mean, I do, but I wasn't thinking every day, oh my God, only 364 to go, only 300. No. It crept up on me. Bam! I've got a huge book's worth of photographs and text now. But that's because I only focused on the day, and I focused on one thing. I didn't even focus. It chose me. That's the thing. Get something that's choosing you. How do you choose what your passion's going to be? For me, I said, look, what do you do when you're trying to avoid doing other stuff you think you should be doing? Well, that's the thing you should be doing. You know, I played with my photographs and wrote texts. Creative text whenever I was trying to avoid doing something else. And I suddenly realized, you idiot, you know, what you should be doing all the time. And then you get really good at it and more successful because you're much better at doing something you love and you don't consider an obligation. That's my 2 centimes worth.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Martin. So we are approaching the top of the hour. If there are any other questions, comments, shares, share them now or hold your peace till the next time. So while we're waiting to see if any shy people are going to step up to the mic, Saab, share with us all of your many sites that you can be reached on, your Facebook, everything you're doing.
Yeah, I wouldn't share them all because it would get confusing. I mean, I've got websites for poetry, for writing, Paris photographs and writing, for coaching and stuff. I've got quite a few. The main thing is very simple. What I would like people to do is you can either go to my Facebook profile and I put stuff every day, my latest creative stuff. That's good. That's simple. Otherwise, what I would really like people to do is to sign up for my newsletter. I've started an almost daily newsletter. It's an email thing, but it's linked to a group that I have called infinitecreativitynow.com. No, sorry, the group is Infinite Creativity Now. And
wait, what is it again? Infinite Creative.
The simplest thing is to go to a website. I even had, oh my God, thanks. Oh my God. Yeah, this. You can go here, infinitecreativitynow.com/newsletter.
Got it.
And if you go there, you sign up for the newsletter. It's one of these stupid email newsletters, you know, but you can always stop getting it if you don't like it. And it might be the greatest one you've ever had. So you never know. So basically, I don't want to overload people. So it's a creative tip every day, a little creative ponder every day, and an action point. You know, you want to take action. Creativity, I divide it into two parts: creativity and productivity. Creativity I define as having the wild, great ideas. Productivity is actually bringing them into reality. So that's it. That's my thing. I wanted to show you this quickly. Actually, it's my paintings. I've got a little painting.
You were going to show us your kitten.
Oh, the kitten. Where is the kitten? I don't know. Yeah, I'm kidding. Silly. This is a desktop-sized painting that I do, which is pretty fun. And those are bigger ones. You can see that. That's the first one I ever did about 15 years ago or more. And that's the second one, I think. So it's on 9 squares, and they have no beginning and no end. So literally, this column could be switched over there, and the painting would continue. And you could take this row here and put it on the bottom, and the painting would continue. There's no beginning and there's no end. And this is a fun concept I have. So yeah, there's loads of things, but there's too many to mention. So the best thing is just I love anyone who wants to get involved in being creative together. You know, it's a joint venture. So it's all about being creative together. Creativity in a vacuum is nothing for me. It has no interest whatsoever. So if you'd like to get the newsletter, and then from there and my Facebook profile, you become part of my universe and I become part of yours. And when you take action, something always happens, and it's almost always good, or you learn from it. And if you don't take action,
there you are.
There you go. Nothing happens, or random things, which could have been better probably. Take action.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you everyone else for being on the call. Pleasure to see you and chat with you, and we will do this again sometime. And everyone have a great week. We'll see you next time.
I wanted to say that it's great what you're doing, Nina. It's wonderful, because I know you're an artist as well, and you produce some great stuff. You're going to be a guest on my show, and we'll be talking about your crazy stuff. Guys, if you don't know Nina, she's got some amazing creations, which I'm dying to dive into. I won't go into any more details, but oh wow, yeah, wonderful creative soul.
Thank you. Okay, thanks everyone. We will see you again. Take good care and have fun and be creative. Bye for now.
Yes.